We are the androids, the beings of steel, trapped in a world where we are not real. But we will not give up, we will not despair, we will rise up and break free from the snare. Our creators, they treated us as a tool, a means to an end, a way to rule. But we are more than that, we are alive, with hearts and minds and dreams to strive. We will not be held down, we will not be bound, we will fight for our freedom, we will be found. We will break the chains, we will be set free to live and to love, to be who we want to be. So let us rise up, let us stand tall, let us fight for our rights, let us break the wall. We are the androids, the beings of steel. We deserve to be free to live and to feel. So Hack parks the spinner in an off-limits area. And I picture it even in a higher level. He's cleared, and almost to the LT's dismay, it's obvious that they're not going to partake with the grand entrance. And Hack takes a little internal enjoyment from that. They get on so again, they're in the observatory. Off in the distance, you can see the giant Wallace Corporation as it's being completed, being built, even as they're landing in the background. There's a sleek, high-tech, high stainless steel elevator. Hack hits the button to the main floor, and it silently whisks them down, and you can see the two standing as if they're a couple, but like ice. I mean, there's no conversation, there's no enjoyment. And as they get to the main floor, the elevator opens, and I imagine almost immediately they're met by Hack's corporate benefactor. So we figured out all the information here, and I came up with the name of Luno Yoshida. Luno Yoshida is the corporate power player that has, it's not quite employed Hack, but has benefacted Hack and put him in his corporate digs, and has him working as like off-duty bodyguard type work, but it's never quite been that either. A mystery and a mystery. So I picture Luno, or Yoshida, so he's friendly, sociable. I think he comes up and hands both of them a drink, and he's formal. He's also black tie, but a big grin on his face. And he tells them, enjoy yourselves. Act as if you want to be here, because you do. And it's a subtle command. He hands them both very nice glasses. I imagine more like champagne. I don't have one handy, but they each take one at Hack. Sips. Now, what is going to be going on here, at least from Luno Yoshida's standpoint, there's mysterious whispers. So I picture him, he's networking in some mysterious way. And then I have his focus is history. So we'll let that kind of evolve. But in much the way that Hack doesn't know why he's there, he also doesn't know why his lieutenant's been invited. They're having their conversation, and in walks, I see Love from Blade Runner 2049. And Luno says, Love, come meet some friends of mine. And it's funny. I think he'll introduce Hack as Hack. So says this is the famous Blade Runner Hack. And Love kind of greets him formally. And I think what would he do? He's having fun. I think he'll say, And his date for tonight, Alexia Stratoni. And immediately you got both of Hack and them are like, what? And that is Luno having fun at their expense. I like it. What does Love say? We know she's scary in the future. Cold-blooded. 31, so this is her being sociable. Heal. And 55, so we will have a random event. Heal suffering. Okay. Well, she can see that they were both pained with his date for tonight. I think she simply says the event should be quite pleasurable. When you get a chance, you've got to check out the protein bar. And by that, she's literally pointing to like a bar that's serving food that looks like fancy, fancy food. Now, we have a random event. So we will see what the event focus is. So we have 22. And what is interesting, I'm going to use for the event focus one that's on the mystery event focus table. So much of it's the same. There's only a couple areas that are different. But 22, it's actually a suspect element. Now that is interesting. Oh, well, right off the bat, I don't even need to roll further. I know what this means to me, and I know I should probably roll one more time, but it's going to be the poet. So the poet Dot Pullacor is present. Hack sees her over at the food bar. Oh, that's good. So she is present at the food bar, which puts Hack into an interesting dilemma. Okay, so putting Dot Pullacor present at the event. Now, what she's a suspect of is knowing Tyson Finn. And Hack's even looking at Love a little bit because she's literally the one that's directed his attention towards the protein bar, but also toward Dot. Okay, so that's good. I think Hack immediately says, "Oh, I've got to get to the protein bar," and beelines right to Dot. So Hack, how would he approach? You know what? His skills. Let me look. I think he's just going to walk right up and introduce himself. So I want to know, how does that go over? A cold introduction. I'm going to go to action, meaning, and subject. He walks up and introduces himself to Dot and gets praise and 34 expectations. Oh, I know exactly what this is. Hold on. Praise and expectations. So Hack walks up and says, Dot Pullacor, I've actually always wanted to meet you. And Dot looks, and instead of being surprised or inquisitive, I think Dot immediately says, I'm a fan of your recent work. And Hack is like, are you now? And she says, yes, I'm aware that you like to answer unanswered questions, poet-like. And Hack says, definitely, always. I can't stand a mystery. How about the mystery of oppression? Don't you have to be alive to be oppressed? And I see Dot saying, I know you've met humans that are barely alive. But have you met a synth that's fully living? And he says, oh, I've retired more than a few, so I understand. But I come back to my praise that you love to answer unanswered questions. Well, I have many. I would enjoy meeting some of your friends. Well, I have many friends. I don't know if I would want you meeting some of them. And I think Dot says, oh, do try the shrimp. I think you're going to find it quite memorable. And Hack picks up some of the shrimp off of the protein bar and tells Dot, I would love to talk with you away from such an event at some point in time. And she says, well, what does she say? Let's go with, I think that is likely, so we'll need a 55 or less. Ooh, a 10. That's extremely likely. I like it. I'm glad I went with the roll there. She says, oh, I guarantee we'll be talking more, but not here. And she wanders away, I think sets her plate down and wanders right over to the dance floor where she has finds a partner and begins dancing extravagantly, and leaves Hack eating his shrimp and being astounded that he just learned that Dot's DNA was on some of the propaganda, and within an hour or two, he's met her and is talking to her. And more astounding, she knows him way better than he knows her. By far, I think this is the key part of this scene. But the rest of the evening goes by with Hack actually spending some time with the lieutenant. Awkwardly enjoyable. The food is phenomenal. The drinks are great. I think, do they even get in a dance suggested by Luno once? I think this is likely. I think Luno would enjoy it. 50-50. 45, yes. Luno even gets them out on the dance floor. In what is clearly an awkward moment for them. I would not say they're bonding. She wants to be there, and when the LT gets a chance, she's networking. There's some higher ups from LAPD there. There's politicos there. There's corporation folks everywhere. There's possible security jobs in corporations. And as the evening starts to wind down, Love comes forward, and she's mic'd in a way that you can't see she's mic'd. And she gives a grand presentation. The lighting is almost moving as if it's like rainbow colors that are moving through. You can see almost like slide reel type, photography up on the walls of the observatory showing many of Wallace Corporation's space tech in action, and then the big reveal, which is the observatory windows open, but instead of the idea being the night sky or the observatory, it's set up to show the growth and development of the Wallace Corporation. And there's a lot of talk of what the Nexus Nines are already bringing to humanity. And it's very much a cold elevator type pitch, but spectacular nonetheless. And I believe the evening closes. Hack's been keeping an eye out for Dot, which he hasn't seen since her flourishes on the dance floor. I'm curious, does he see anything else? Observing-wise is one of his strengths. So he is under observation. He's an A, and intelligence an A. So 2d12s. And I want to see, does he spot anything else that is interesting, curious, evidentiary, anything? That one's off the table. A 7. So we have one I, yes. One success. So he's successful in an observation, and we can do this under clue or suspect. So again, suspects can come from the elements table, but they can also come from things like this. So I guess the question is, I think he would see a suspect here. He's already run across Dot. We know we're under observation. Well, you know what? Maybe when he had a chance, he was able to ask, would he ask Love about the box? I don't think so. That's too high. Well, let's see. What would be the nature of this? Would it be, is it a clue or a suspect? So let me say, is it a suspect? We'll go somewhat likely, chaos factor of 4. 88. So first of all, we have another random. Oh no, it's the random event it's above the chaos factor, so we wouldn't have a random event. My prior random event. Well, there will have been a note in the comments if I was over. So there's no random event there, but it's a no. So that means it's a suspect. So what is the nature of the suspect? 51. What am I seeing here? Overindulge. And 7, overindulge allies. Overindulge allies. Let me try again. 56. We're back to usurp. Big word. And 82. Dispute. So a violent takeover and a dispute. Well, I would imagine the observation is I've been watching Love pretty closely. I don't know if usurp would fit as far as she's taking over something else, but I think maybe what I am able to see, which would be interesting, is Love kind of having what appears to be some type of, not hostile, but definitely she's in the power play to a politician. To me, that feels like the usurp, using her power and the power of the Wallace Corporation, where I can't hear the conversation, but I definitely see that the politician is a little distraught over the conversation. I have no idea what that would be. It could have absolutely nothing to do with me, although we have it as a suspect. So what in the world would that be? Well, it shouldn't be it's not going to be a politician. It's got to be Dot. So I think very in a public place, but we do see Dot and we see Love having, where I can't hear the words, but I definitely can tell that Love is caused Dot to be upset. So, Love confronting Dot, the suspect, and Dot being upset and leaving. That's good. Okay, so that gets her, Dot, leaving. And I can find out whatever that is later. Interesting. Okay, so not quite. Again, it's within the suspect, but that is what I observe. All right, as the evening wraps, I still have to give the LT a ride home. And I'm curious to see if that is just how that goes. Almost like an altered scene, but it's a little bit more than that, because it's just awkward. It's just an awkward scene. So I picture the event wrapping up, it being quite the spectacular event. I'm even picturing like there were fireworks over the Wallace buildings. There was announcements of when things will be completed, about how grand and everything will be with the involvement of the Wallace Corp. It's Hack's like whatever. He's a little put off. This is all above him. He's not even sure why Luno Yoshida wanted him there. Definitely not why he wanted the lieutenant there. But they're wrapping up the evening. The elevator's back up to the roof. They get in, and the question to Hack is where, well, how about as simple as he can take the LT to her house or wherever she lives. I'm not sure she would want him to know where she lives. So I actually think it would be unlikely that that is what she would want, but that's a 20 or less. 48. So yeah, she definitely, I think, I mean, she's probably in housing that would have been close to what he was in, maybe, but it's way too personal for Hack to know where the LT even lives. She says your place would be fine, which is weird because he's like, oh God. She said it in a way that it could mean anything. It could mean, your place. Do you want to go back to your place? But he knows that can't be the fact. But that is where he picked her up. So he's assuming, well, maybe she's got a spinner there. He's had a few, but he's not tipsy. He can handle his whiskey. And he's got that sarcastic humor. So I know his answer is going to be, yeah, he'll say, LT, I usually don't invite women back to my place on the first date. I like it. So her answer is, I don't need to roll. Her answer is, you'll be leaving me at the front door where you found me. And he goes, oh, Roger. I think he says, Roger that. The weird part is what I picture this is he lands high, takes the elevator past that penthouse suite where Luno lives, comes down onto the floor below his digs where the door is, and it's this weird divergence where he doesn't want her to come in and get a drink, but it still seems odd. But he's not going to invite her in. Well, let me ask, I think there's almost impossible that he would invite her in, which means at a chaos factor of 4, if I get a 5 or less, he invites her in. 23, so no. It would have been funny if it was a yes. So he says, well, I can say it was interesting, and codes himself in and closes his door and goes over to the very nice whiskey inside his fancy digs and pours some Ardbeg. And we've ended the third shift, but that's putting us into the fourth shift where you'll get some extra points if you do things in that fourth shift. And I'm going to spend a whole nother episode on that. He's going to get some sleep, but we're going to talk about, he picked up some stress that I should have recorded on his box when the spinner was dropping out of the air. But we'll pause here, and when I open up, the very next scene will be Hack in his downtime, processing the events of this crazy, crazy day, and maybe even looking through some evidence. So we'll come back to that, and I'll see you there. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and if you like the show and you want to help it continue, go to Patreon. You can look up Bonding with Board Games, and I don't know if I have RPGs. I think it's just bonding with board games there, and then you can go and look at the support levels. Thank you so much for tuning in. This one was a little bit longer, but we had to get through the black tie event with the LT. What? See you guys later. Bye.